you missed me? Because I've missed me. I met my Macmillan nurses. They were kind of afraid. I was like, what? Sorry, what? Are you talking about me? Because I don't know. Are you talking about me? You know, so I started crying. I was like, how am I going to be able to sing? I'm just going to trust God and believe that the man who he sent to me will do the best thing. That I am in God's hands. He is in control and I do not need to worry. Yo! Hi coconuts, it's ElleCoco. Welcome to Create. There's only one rule on this channel and that is to be you. How have we all been? How are we all doing? Have you missed me? Because I've missed me. So this month is March. This month is the month when I had my surgery and my whole life got flipped upside down. I can take a minute, just sit right there, I tell you. Anyway, this is the month of March, the month where I had my surgery to remove cancer in my upper palate, in my mouth. I had my surgery on the 30th of March and I stayed in hospital until the 4th of April. I was diagnosed on the 28th of February, but it was actually in the December of the previous year that the whole sort of journey of cancer began. Now personally, I actually recorded a video to go up somewhere. Okay, I recorded a video for an SPPD, yeah, of my testimony, but for some reason it wasn't sending, and then I just kind of like withheld it because it wasn't really a video for YouTube, it was a video for NSPPD testimony. But now I'm like, I need to do one. I just need to get this story out there because every single day goes by and I haven't really said it. So I want to say exactly what happened because I haven't really been able to say exactly what happened. I'm just gonna say this, like, I'm just gonna give you like a roundabout, like, I'm just gonna give you my story of what happened. I'm not prepared. I don't have any like documents, and honestly I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna tell you what happened. It's gonna be 2 years since surgery, so this is 2022. I was 19. When was I 19? So it was December in 2021 and I was actually on a camp with my church called, ironically it's here, called the Mega Church camp. Okay, so I was at this camp, yeah, it was in Bournemouth. Let me show you. Okay, let me show you. Man's got evidence in that. Okay, so I was in Bournemouth, right? I bought this, and honestly, it was the most horriblest time in my life. Yeah. Honestly, that trip, that whole time in December was so weird, yeah? And I just remember feeling like it was a really sad time, okay? Now I've come home after this camp, right? And I go into my mum's room and I'm like, oh mum, something in my mouth hurts. You know, this thing hurts a lot because a boil had formed in my mouth and it was hurting me so much. So I go to my mum and say, Mum, this thing hurts. She tells me, book a dentist appointment. She says to me, we're gonna book a dentist appointment. So we book the dentist appointment. I go to the dentist appointment now. They look at my mouth, they're like, we don't know what this is, but we're gonna give you antibiotics, then you come back and we'll check it again. I take my antibiotics, I come back, it's still there. So they're like, we don't know what this is, so we're gonna refer you to the hospital. So they referred me to the oral and maxillofacial clinic in a hospital. Go to the hospital now, they're checking my mouth. The woman looks scared, she looks worried. She's like, you know, I don't know what this is. She calls in someone else. That person's like, okay, book an MRI and a CT scan. Calm. So they book the MRI, they book the CT scan, and then they give me my next appointment. My next appointment is somewhere in March, I believe, and at this point I think it was January. Okay, just going off the top of my head. Okay, so at this point it's like January, and they've booked my appointment for March, and I'm like, fine, okay. But then a few days later, after that appointment where they booked my CT and MRI scan, the lady phones me and she's like, can you make it in a bit earlier, because, you know, there's gonna be because on so and so days specialists come in, so a specialist can check you. This is how I ended up meeting the doctor that done my surgery. So I'm like, yes, me and my mum are like, yes, of course I can come in earlier, of course. So I go in earlier, I meet the doctor who done my surgery. At this point I didn't know that I was gonna have surgery. Okay, so let's just call him let's call him Rob. Okay, I meet Rob for the first time. Okay, and he checks my mouth. At this point I've only done my MRI, I haven't done my CT scan, so he can't make any like conclusions or like steps forward. So he does say though that, you know, I should have a biopsy. And then he says, can I have the biopsy today? Would it be possible for me to have the biopsy on that day? And it was. So we had to wait for like 2 hours, and then I got my biopsy done, which is a blessing. So now I've already done my MRI scan, I'm waiting to do my CT scan, and I've done a biopsy. By the next appointment, he has my CT scan, he has my MRI scan, and he speaks about my biopsy. In this appointment, the follow-up appointment to the previous appointment, he tells me that the people who checked my biopsy did not know what it was, so he has sent it to a more specialist lab to get it checked. So that's what happens. Nothing can be said until the biopsy comes back. And he also, I think he also books me another CT scan. By the next appointment, he has 2 CT scans, 1 MRI scan, and my biopsy results. And in this appointment is when he tells us that I've got cancer, basically. That this has come back and this is cancer. And in the same appointment, Mum breaks down crying because she's there. She follows me to all my appointments. You know there's that like meme on TikTok where it's like, you know, your mum is there talking to the GP while you're just in the background like, yeah ma, go ma, yeah. I'm one of those people. I don't know anything about my medical history, which is really bad. I always leave it to my mum because she's always dealt with it, right? Oh my gosh, my bad. Yeah, because she's always dealt with it, so I don't know anything, right? Which is bad, but I'm trying now, obviously, because now I understand I need to know these things, right? So yeah, he's like, okay, this is cancer, and these are the steps we're going to take forward. So in this appointment, he tells me that he wants to remove some of my jawbone, remove the gum where the cancer is, and also take like full teeth out. And he also says that we're not going to be meeting in that particular hospital anymore, but he's going to move me to where his actual office is, like his actual, where he actually works, because he only comes there on certain days. So he's going to move me to his, like, where he actually works. So once that happens, we meet him. Oh my god, I really want to like check too. Anyway, so once that happens, we meet him. They scan my mouth, they make a mold of my mouth. They also book me an MRI neck and something scan to see if it's spread any further than my upper gums. And yeah, they tell me about surgery. I'm just basically saying all the appointments, basically what happened after the diagnosis. They done all these things. So they booked me a scan of my neck. I think it was called neck and thorax, I'm not sure, but it was basically to check if the cancer had spread further than my upper palate. They also made a mold of my mouth, because I would need a cover plate to cover the hole so I can drink and eat without food going in my nose, because obviously that's a problem when you have a hole in your mouth. I feel like they like scanned my jaw. I'm not sure. There was like a scan or something. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I met my Macmillan nurses. They were kind of afraid to deal with me because I would be the youngest person they've ever dealt with. And they were actually considering moving me to a different hospital which deals with younger people, because I was 19 going on 20, you know. So, well, am I a teenager, or am I like a young adult? Even though, you know, in the UK a young adult is like 16, but you know, I'm still a child, you know. So yeah, I would be the youngest person they would have ever dealt with, so they were a bit anxious as to if they would be able to cater to me. I also met my speech therapist, who basically would be in charge of teaching me how to speak again, pronounce my words, and, you know, be okay with this new speech that I have. Yeah, so I remember crying. I was crying because when he was like, okay, the second time he explained it, when I moved to his office, whatever, I remember crying because I was like, when he was like telling me exactly what would be going on with me, I was like, oh my god. I was like, what? Sorry, what? Are you talking about me? Because I don't know, are you talking about me? I'm gonna have that? Me? I don't know. Maybe you're talking about someone else. But it kind of sunk in, and I was like, oh my god, what about if I'm not gonna be able to sing anymore? You know, so I started crying because I was like, how am I gonna be able to sing? You know, all I want to do is sing, right? And my speech therapist, Rob, was like, oh my god, don't cry. I was like, and my speech therapist was like, she basically took her time, because my Macmillan nurses were also there. She took her time to explain to me everything. That, don't worry, it's okay. This is where he's gonna do the surgery. It won't affect that, so it's fine. You'll be able to sing. There won't be any difference in your voice. And it's true. Kinda. I mean, kinda. But we'll get to that part. So yeah, that's one of the memories I remember. That I also remember meeting this lovely man who you know, he was just so lovely. And yeah, Oh, also, I'm kind of going all over the place here, but in one of the appointments as well, he had said that he was having a bit of, you know, Rob had consulted his like colleagues, right, to ask them, what do you think is the best approach for this surgery for my case, you know? And they believed that his approach was too it was like too much for someone my age, because the implications, the life-changing implications would be a lot, you know, and I'm young. So they suggested that instead of, you know, going all in for it, he should just scrape, you know, scrape around the area. So basically remove the cancer and just scrape the gums around the area of that of the jawbone which has a cancer, instead of removing it, because it would mean that I would have less changes, okay? But I was pretty confident with Rob's decision, because I just felt like God had brought me, I felt like Rob was a God-sent helper. So I wasn't concerned about what he was. I was concerned, but it was like, if God says this is how I should be treated, that this is the surgery which I want you to have, I'm not going to start saying, okay, yeah, actually, you know what, I want to have, you know, this sort of surgery because, you know, it suits me better. I'm just going to trust God and believe that the man who he sent to me will do the best thing, that I am in God's hands. He is in control and I do not need to worry.